we just wrapped up an incredible series, our first season of Ministry Spotlight, where we got to sit down with some incredible Christian creators who are navigating the nerd space with us to reach others for Christ and encourage fellow Christians in our faith through our fandoms. So if you didn't get a chance to listen to all of our sit downs, they're all on our YouTube channel, Finding God in Video Games. Check them out, and please also go and like, listen, and subscribe to each of these incredible creators as they bring specific things into the marketplace that wouldn't be there otherwise, giving of their time, their efforts to have ministries that reach our fellow nerds with Christ and encourage Christian nerds such as ourselves. We had an opportunity to sit down with Brent from TruePlay as he shared the message behind his mission to bring true faith-based gaming into the hands of everyone. We got to sit down with Amy with Clean Fiction Magazine and her incredible ministry of guiding not just clean fiction, but also Christian authors and writers, giving them an opportunity for their work to be seen on a much larger stage. We got to meet some incredible couples who are sharing in this missionary journey together, Poetically Christian, featuring Derek and Brandy as they go through and share a variety of different, whether it's video games or other nerd culture devotionals. And then our friends at Alleluia Podcast, who take on animated features and films and share the messages that they learned from those. Speaking of the animated space, we went beneath the tangles with, well, Charles from Beneath the Tangles. You might know him as Tweak, and his mission to combine the world of anime and help us to find God within those scenes. Ricky from Christian Nerds Unite podcast brought us so much incredible information, giving us advice on how to start a podcast if that's something that the Lord has put on your heart, but also sharing the incredible journey that Christian Nerds Unite has been on. We had an incredible time learning from Eric at Nerd Chapel as he brings Christ to the convention scene in some very unique and fun ways. And then a great friend of our ministry, Gaming and God, Samuru, we sat down. Trust me, there's more on the cutting room floor than we're even able to deliver, because somewhere out there we're still just talking about nerd stuff together. We had a really great time getting to go through and share some very big similarities. We're kind of in the gaming nerd space. So if you haven't already, please go through and like and subscribe and follow TruePlay Games, Clean Fiction Magazine, Christian Nerds Unite podcast, Poetically Christian, Alleluia Podcast, Beneath the Tangles, Nerd Chapel, Gaming and God. You will be blessed, and you will also be helping them as they continue to take their mission, combining faith and fandom to the masses. We hope to see you on our next season of Ministry Spotlight. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for following us. And we hope that all of these have been a great ministry to you. Here's a few of our favorite clips.
If God is calling you to do something, whatever it is, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be fun. It is going to be time consuming, and He doesn't promise us ease. He doesn't promise us the good things in life. He promises us persecution.
Absolutely.
So if you're expecting to go into it and not feel persecuted, maybe you're not doing what you should be doing if you're not being persecuted.
Isn't that funny? Like that feels so still applicable to what's going on today, like with our audience, right? I mean, like there's something missing in life for a lot of otaku, for a lot of video game fans, for a lot of us nerds, right? You know, like and actually some of us might be super well adjusted and just have an amazing life, but some of us are struggling, right? Some of us have had struggles in the past, have had maybe abuse in our past or other kind of difficulties, and so there's this active kind of search for what's going to help me, and sometimes we find it in entertainment, right? Video games and anime, right? But it ultimately doesn't prove to be enough. There's something else. Of course, it's God that we're made for and designed for, right? So that only He can fill that hole, right? But in this entertainment, we can see glimpses of the invisible God, and I think that's just so amazing.
There's another side of that too, where those of us like, that we're married and have children and those things, like we are still processing a lot of things, like you said, pains in our past and such, that just because we already have maybe some of those trappings that one would consider to be, okay, so you've successfully acquired romance, you have successfully completed the occupation mission, you think you know what you're doing with your life. There's still a part of watching a lot of these and participating in these, I'm like, oh, now I can process that feeling.
We take on, as Christians, we take on a Christian worldview. But I always even growing up, I was brought up in the church. And so I'm a person that sees God in everything. Someone might see Spider-Man and, they might hear with great power comes great responsibility. I think of Luke 12 and 48, to whomsoever much is given, of him shall much be required. I'm like, that's Spider-Man,
The Message version of the Bible probably says with great power comes great power.
The podcast was always in the back of my mind. And I thought, okay, if one of these three blows up, if one of these three connects, then I'll launch a podcast with that name. And probably within 6 months of starting the Facebook page and the Facebook group, I launched the podcast.
It's such a powerful story to think of. A lot of times we take these setbacks and we think, oh, well, that means I'm not meant to do this, when really it was your time to go and find your way. So I
absolutely agree. Yeah, sometimes a setback is not a no. A setback is, this is just the wrong place.
That's
why I look at it
there. And I know a lot of times, the people that maybe listen to this, they may be struggling with, is this my calling from God? What I'm feeling in my heart, is this the destiny has for me? And sometimes that's not just a roadblock for you. That wasn't a detour. That was a hard stop.
Yeah.
But that wasn't an indication that it wasn't meant to be. It was simply an indication that you're going to go on a parallel and then diagonal path from here.
It reminds me of when you were in elementary school and you have your art teacher, right, who is looking at that piece of paper, and inside they're like, no, do not ask for another piece of paper if you messed up. So they tell you, take that mistake, whatever you made, and turn it into something beautiful. And, use that in your new drawing. And I think that's pretty applicable to any creative endeavor that you have. Use what you have. What you have is okay.
The Bible doesn't call us to pray and complain. It calls us to pray and act. Everyone in the Bible, by the way, that did anything meaningful, Moses, Jesus, David, Noah, the list goes on. They didn't just sit and pray, well, hopefully one day things will work out. No, they got out. They got at it. Right, they got after it.
Noah building the ark was at a very, very extensive cost. If I'm understanding, even I know lumber's really bad now. I'm pretty sure it was still expensive back then too. So that was a big financial risk. It was a big societal risk. It got him a lot of embarrassment. But he didn't just say, "Well, God, when the rain comes, I hope you'll save us all." He made a giant boat.
One of the guest artists across from me, he and I talked a lot, and he kept constantly talking to me about how he used to be a Christian and he chose to walk away. And I just kind of listened. I didn't feel like I had much to offer. And as we talked, he talked about how his friends who were still Christians would talk with him. I'm like, okay, so he's got people already pushing on him. He's the only guy who bought a book. And I don't know where he is today. I hope he's doing well. I prayed for him regularly for quite a while after that.
That's the most important book that you could have sold, was to someone who became disenfranchised, but still is open to the conversation, still interested in, I believe there was something real here. I was turned off by it, but I still want to believe. That's such a powerful thing. Like, give me a reason to believe. Tell me why I should come back. That is amazing. And a testament to why it's so important to do the work that you're doing, which is going to these conventions and finding the opportunities within that shared fandom to share faith in Christ in a very organic way, because they came to your table.
Because sometimes I watch videos, sometimes of pastors, and they just talk garbage about video games. Like, you're not a man if you play video games. I'm like, get out of here. If you play sports, isn't this watch sports? Isn't it the same thing? You probably watch more sports than you play video games.
At no point do we worry about seeing a thing come up where it says, should Christians play soccer?
Yeah.
We're all good on that.
Yeah. Or even watching it. I mean, because I guess the point there could be well, it's something physical and you're getting exercise. And that's true. I can, but then what about the watching? It's a game, right? So mine's just digital. Yours is real. And
it's still working a muscle, not just in terms of your hand-eye coordination, which is well proven that there's benefits to that, but also the reason that we like to engage in these stories, even these, fictional stories, is it does help you process things. And there's a reason Jesus spoke in parables.